Hey YouTube, I'm Tristan from Smart Home Point. I was recently filming another video where I'd mentioned the phrase Google Home a few times, and I realised midway through the video that I hadn't actually explained what Google Home means and why it can mean four different things. And out of context, the phrase Google Home can be a little bit confusing. As a result, I sort of got sidetracked on that other video while I was trying to sort of madly explain what Google Home meant. I was getting confused, I started crying, it was just terrible, it was a whole thing. I'm joking, I didn't cry much. But the point is, the phrase Google Home can be a little bit confusing because it means multiple things in different contexts, and that's a little bit confusing. So I want to do this video and just talk through why the phrase Google Home means four different things and how hopefully in the future it'll only mean one or two different things, and therefore be a little bit less confusing. Okay, so part of the confusion of the phrase Google Home is that it refers to a brand name, a lineup of products, it refers to a particular product, it refers to the start of the name of two other products, and of course it refers to the app, the Google Home app that you can download on the app stores. And as a result, it gets a bit confusing. Now, before I go any further, what I will say is that if you have a Google Nest Mini or Google Hub Max or whatever Google Nest device you have, if you read that another product or a skill works on Google Home, you're in luck, it will work on this particular product. And that's because Google Home is a brand name, as I just mentioned. My first point is it's a brand name for a particular lineup of products. That lineup of products includes the Google Home, the Google Home Mini, the Google Home Hub, the Google Home Max, the Google Nest Mini, the Google Nest Hub, and the Google Nest Hub Max. Okay, so when something says it supports Google Home, if you've got any of those devices, it will work, including if that device is just called Google Nest or Google Nest Hub, for example, it will work. Now, the brand name Google Home officially has been superseded by the name Google Nest, and that's a good thing because it'll prevent confusion. You'll be a bit more like Amazon, which has an Echo as the brand name, and then Alexa as the name of the app. And that's great, other than the fact that if you actually go through Google's website, you'll see that the brand name Google Nest isn't used all that often. In fact, Google Home is still used more. For example, if you're on the Google Store, you see a nice little button on the menu saying Nest, and you click on that, and then Google Home is listed 3 times, which is confusing. Equally, if you actually click into the individual products, whilst the Google Home is no longer sold, which I'll talk about in a second, the Google Home Mini and the Google Home Max is still being sold. So obviously the Google Home brand is alive and kicking on Google's own store. Equally, if you go to the Google Home skill page or the Google Nest skill page and look up a particular skill you might want, it says clear as day is available and it's supported on Google Home. So even though the official brand name is Google Nest, it still says Google Home. It actually has a little icon showing Google Home, which is pretty confusing. So to finish my first point, the brand name has officially moved over from Google Home to Google Nest, but in reality, it hasn't really done that. It's a confusing mess of both. Okay, the second thing that the phrase Google Home can refer to is a product. It was Google's flagship smart home product. It was released in November 2016, and it's a smart speaker to rival the Amazon Echo. It's a perfectly good device. It was, however, discontinued earlier in 2020, to make way for the Nest Hub and the Nest Hub Max. But it's a perfectly good product, and if you already own it or you've bought it second-hand, it will continue to work, which in itself is confusing because it's discontinued, but yet it still works, and that's sort of keeping this Google Home confusion alive, in my opinion. It's even more confusing because Google purchased Nest in 2014, 2.5 years or more than 2.5 years before they actually released their Google Home product. So Google back then had a chance to actually avoid confusion about the Google name, the Google Home phrasing and the Google Home naming, but they didn't take it. Instead, they named their flagship product Google Home instead of Google Nest. And as a result, there's this confusion surrounding the brand name because it's also a product. The third thing that Google Home can mean is the name of other products. So as I mentioned earlier, you've got the Google Home Mini and the Google Home Max, and these are still being sold. As a result of that, they're keeping the Google Home brand and the Google Home product range alive. To be honest, my hunch is that in the future, the Google Home Mini will be discontinued because you've got the Google Nest Mini, which is newer and a better overall product. Equally, same as the Google Home Max, there's some, the Google Nest Hub Max, is better, and as a result, I can imagine that the Google Home Max will actually be deprecated or removed in the future. And at that point, the Google Home phrase will become a lot less confusing because it no longer refers to a product or product lineup or the start of the name of other products. So hopefully that'll help improve things and hopefully help reduce confusion. Finally, the fourth thing that Google Home refers to is, of course, the name of the app. If you want to control your Google-based smart home, you'll download the Google Home app, and in there you can manage your smart speakers, your Nest thermostat, and a load of other devices. Now this makes sense. It makes sense for Google to name their smart home app Google Home. But what doesn't make as much sense is that the brand name has officially moved to Google Nest, and of course there's a Nest app. So you think logically Google might actually want to move features away from the Google Home app towards the Nest app, maybe rename it Google Nest, and then the Google Nest app will become the primary thing, which reinforces the brand name of Google Nest. But that's not what Google have done. In fact, they've done the exact opposite. They've taken features from the Nest app and they supported them bit by bit in the Google Home app. In fact, around a week ago, the Nest Protect product was finally added as a feature on the Google Home app, which is great. But it does nonetheless reinforce this confusion around the Google Nest brand name, because the actual app, the features in the apps are moving from Nest app to Google Home app. So in conclusion, it's a little bit confusing at times. I'm just baffled as to why Google have actually named things as they have and allowed things to progress as they have, because at the end of the day, Amazon have a very clear branding strategy. Their smart speakers are called Echo, and that's a lineup of products. And then you've got Google, and then you've got the Alexa app. On the other hand, you've got Google, who are actually doing the exact opposite. They bought Nest back in 2014, and then they released their flagship product 2.5 years later in November 2016, and they called it Google Home. All the while sort of planning to actually change the brand name from Google Home to Google Nest. So you think that they would just rename their flagship product at that time. And as I said earlier, they're also moving features from the Nest app to the Google Home app, which is confusing. I think Google probably are looking to resolve this sort of confusion, and they're probably looking to get rid of any Google Home based products. And then at that point, you'll simply have a Google Home app and you'll have the Google Nest brand name. And I think at that point, they're going to change their website to make it a bit clearer that you've got Google Nest as the brand name, as the product lineup, and then you've got Google Home as the app. And I think that'll be a much better thing. But right now, it is a bit confusing. It's just confusing. There's no other word for it. Okay, I hope that sort of makes sense. I'm being in a bit of a grumpy mood. I'm living up to my t-shirt, but Google Home as a phrase is confusing right now. It means 4 different things. But I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please click the thumbs up button and don't forget to subscribe. Thank you.